Mr. President, if Mr. Jordan has told us that he had a very disturbing conversation with Ms. Lewinsky that day, then went over to visit you at the White House, and that before he asked you the question about sexual relationship, related that disturbing conversation to you, the conversation being that Ms. Lewinsky had a fixation on you and thought that perhaps the First Lady would leave you at the end of that you would leave the First Lady at the end of your term and come be with Ms. Lewinsky. Do you have any reason to doubt him that it was on that night that that conversation happened?
All I can tell you, sir, is I certainly don't remember him saying that. Now, he could have said that because, as you know, many things happened in the ensuing 2 or 3 days. And I could have just forgotten it, but I don't remember him ever saying that.
At any time?
No, I don't remember.
That is something that one would be likely to remember, don't you think, Mr. President?
I think I would, and I'd be happy to share it with you if I did. I only had one encounter with Ms. Lewinsky I seem to remember, which was somewhat maybe reminiscent of that, but not that, if you will, obsessive, if that's the way you want to use that word.
Do you recall, Mr. President, you swore under oath in the Jones case that you didn't think anyone other than your lawyers had ever told you that Monica Lewinsky had been subpoenaed. Page 68, line 22 through page 69, line 3. Here's the testimony, sir. Question. We've gone over it a little bit before. Did anyone other than your attorneys ever tell you that Monica Lewinsky had been served with a subpoena in the case? Answer, I don't think so. Now, this deposition was taken just 3.5 weeks after, by your own testimony, Vernon Jordan made a trip at night to the White House to tell you, among other things, that Monica Lewinsky had been subpoenaed and was upset about it. Why did you give that testimony under oath in the Jones case?
Jumbled. Well, this is an honest attempt here. If you read both these answers, it's obvious they're both answers to that question you quoted, to remember the first person who was not Mr. Bennett who told me. And I don't believe Vernon was the first person who told me. I believe Bruce Lindsay was.
Let me read the question because I want to talk about the first person issue. The question on line 25 of page 68 is, did anyone other than your attorneys ever tell you that Monica Lewinsky had been served with a subpoena in this case? Answer, I don't think so. You would agree with me, sir, that the question doesn't say anything about who was the first person. It just says, did anyone tell you? Isn't that correct?
That's right. And I said Bruce Lindsay because I was trying to struggle with where I'd heard this, and they were free to ask a follow-up question, and they didn't.
Mr. President, 3.5 weeks before, Mr. Jordan had made a special trip to the White House to tell you Ms. Lewinsky had been subpoenaed. She was distraught. She had a fixation over you. You couldn't remember that 3.5 weeks later?
Mr. Weisenberg, if they had access to all this information from their conversations with Linda Tripp, if that was the basis of it, they were free to ask me more questions. They may have been trying to trick me. Now,